Everyone knows the story of Medusa, a hideous monster with snakes for hair, who turned every man who looked at her to stone until Perseus came along and cut off her head. Simple, right? Wrong. Because the real story of Medusa, the one the ancient Greeks actually told, is far darker, far more tragic, and far more powerful than any version you have ever heard, and by the end of this video you will never see her the same way again. Before the snakes, before the terror, before the stone-cold gaze, Medusa was beautiful. The ancient poets were clear about this. She was a daughter of the sea gods Phorcys and Ceto, one of 3 Gorgon sisters. Her 2 sisters, Stheno and Euryale, were immortal. Medusa alone was mortal, and she was known above all else for one thing: her breathtaking, extraordinary hair. She was, by every ancient account, breathtaking. Then Poseidon, god of the seas and one of the most powerful beings in existence, saw her, and he wanted her. The myth, told most completely by the Roman poet Ovid, describes what happened next inside the sacred temple of Athena. Poseidon assaulted Medusa within those holy walls, and when Athena discovered what had happened in her own temple, her rage was absolute. But she did not direct that rage at Poseidon. She could not. He was her equal in power, her uncle in blood. So she directed it at Medusa instead. The beautiful hair became venomous, writhing serpents. The gaze that men had admired became lethal. Anyone who looked directly into her eyes would turn to stone instantly. She was cursed, exiled to the far edge of the world, and left alone, surrounded by the petrified bodies of those who had come before her. Centuries passed. Then came Perseus, son of Zeus, raised by a mortal mother, sent on what his enemy believed was a suicide mission. Bring back the head of Medusa, or do not come back at all. But the gods were watching. Athena gave Perseus a mirrored shield, so he could see Medusa's reflection without meeting her gaze. Hermes gave him winged sandals and a blade forged by the god of fire himself. Perseus flew to the edge of the world, found Medusa sleeping, flanked by her immortal sisters. He looked only at her reflection. He swung the divine blade once, and it was done. From her blood 2 creatures were born in that instant, the winged horse Pegasus and the golden giant Chrysaor, both fathered by Poseidon, the same god who had begun the entire tragedy. Perseus sealed Medusa's head in a divine bag. Even severed, even dead, her gaze still worked. He used it 3 more times. He turned the Titan Atlas into the mountain range that still carries his name today. He saved a princess named Andromeda from a sea monster by holding up the head, turning the beast to stone mid-attack. And when he finally returned home, he walked into the throne room of the king who had sent him to die, and showed that king the last thing he ever saw. Perseus gave the head to Athena, who placed it at the very center of her divine shield. Medusa, who had been punished for being in Athena's temple, now guarded Athena for eternity. Make of that what you will. Here is what most people miss. To the ancient Greeks, Medusa was not a villain. She was apotropaic, meaning she was placed above doorways and temples precisely to ward off evil. Her terrifying gaze protected. It was only later, as centuries passed and the story was retold by different cultures with different values, that she became a monster to be defeated rather than a guardian to be respected. And today, she has been reclaimed entirely. She appears on feminist murals, in video games, in tattoos, in fashion. The sculptor Luciano Garbati created a Medusa holding the severed head of Perseus, a direct reversal of every classical depiction. That sculpture now stands near a Manhattan courthouse for sex crime trials. The ancient Greeks would have understood exactly why. Medusa's story has survived for over 2,000 years, not because she was a monster, but because she represents something deeply human. The experience of being punished for someone else's crime, of having your identity taken from you, of being made monstrous by those with power over you. Perseus got the glory. Athena kept the head. But Medusa's name is the one everyone still searches for, and that, more than anything, tells you who the real story belongs to. If you want to know which Greek myth holds an even darker secret, one most channels will not touch, subscribe. Because that story is next.